Hey, it's George Chuang. I made a video last year in August titled, Is Jesus About to Send Out the Four Horsemen of Revelation? And this year, it looks even closer as we examine world events. I'm sure you all know Russia invaded Ukraine earlier this year in February. But you might not know that Russia and Ukraine are responsible for 30% of global wheat exports. That's about one third of the world's available wheat if you are a country that imports wheat. China and India produce the most wheat, but they have such large populations that they consume pretty much everything they produce. Even though China is the largest wheat producer in the world, they actually still import wheat to feed their people. A bad wheat harvest in China would be detrimental to the needs of the people. Let me show you just how volatile farming and agriculture can be. Just this summer, right now, where I'm at in China, we are experiencing a 70-day heat wave. This has never been observed since modern record keeping began in China. I'm in the Sichuan province, and temperatures have been hitting about 41 to 42 degrees Celsius, sometimes 43. And that's about 106 to 108 degrees Fahrenheit. But this is the worst part. They've been shutting the electricity down for 6 to 7 hours, sometimes twice a day, because there's just too much demand. The heat wave is causing a drought, and electricity comes from hydropower. Too much heat and no rain equal no hydropower. No hydropower equals no electricity to stay cool during the heat wave. In 2020, Sichuan province was exporting about 26% of the electricity they were producing. But this year's heat wave was so bad, they just started cutting power usage. When the electricity went out for us, the water was also cut off. So it was like a double whammy. But the good news is the electricity is back and the heat wave looks like it's going to end by the end of this month. The authorities must have figured out how to balance electricity usage, whether they cut exports or they're importing it. I don't know. But it's been a terrible month. We went to the mountains to get away from the heat. There's no way to sleep at night with no electricity and soaring temperatures. Now, if this becomes a yearly trend and this type of adverse weather moves into areas that grow wheat, that's bad news. It can happen to the US, India, China. No country is safe from Mother Nature and the plans of God. Revelation 6:5-6. When he opened the third seal, I heard the third living creature say, Come and see. So I looked, and behold, a black horse. He who sat on it had a pair of scales in his hand. And I heard a voice in the midst of the four living creatures say, A quart of wheat for a denarius, and 3 quarts of barley for a denarius, and do not harm the oil and the wine. So when the third seal is opened, the wheat and barley were harmed, but not the oil and wine. A denarius is about 1 day's wage for a worker. Now, it's also important to know that Russia is the world's largest exporter of fertilizer. In 2019, Russia exported more than double the amount of the second largest exporter, and that was the European Union. When all 4 seals are open, it's not just wheat and barley that's going to suffer. Here's the summary of the 4 horsemen. And power was given to them over 1/4 of the earth to kill with sword, with hunger, with death, and by the beasts of the earth. This third horseman kills with hunger. So there's going to be widespread famine. The Middle East and North Africa will probably be hit hard because they import a lot of wheat. Also, without fertilizer, countries are not going to be able to grow the amount of food needed to feed people. When the second seal is open, countries will go to war, and there may be civil war. Revelation 6:3. When he opened the second seal, I heard the second living creature saying, "Come and see." Another horse, fiery red, went out, and it was granted to the one who sat on it to take peace from the earth, and that people should kill one another. And there was given to him a great sword. So people are going to kill one another. You can expect countries to hoard food, fertilizer, resources to gain an advantage and use it as leverage to put pressure on other countries. This Russia-Ukraine conflict is like a lid on a pressure cooker, just waiting to blow open. And if Jesus opens those seals, then that's when it blows open. And if you've been keeping up with world events, you'll know that China and Taiwan have tension building up. These red areas show where China held live fire drills in August after Nancy Pelosi's visit to Taiwan. President Xi Jinping may feel China is finally ready to take Taiwan back militarily. If they wait, the US may sell more advanced weapons to Taiwan. But the most important thing to remember is this. Proverbs 21:1. The king's heart is in the hand of the Lord. Like the rivers of water, he turns it wherever he wishes. God makes it very clear in the scripture that he raises empires up and pulls them down. He sends pagan kings to attack other pagan kings. These things are all in God's hands. It will ultimately culminate into the kingdom of the Antichrist in the Middle East. This end-time empire will consist of 10 kings, and the Antichrist, known as the beast, will be the head. Revelation 17:12. The 10 horns which you saw are 10 kings who have received no kingdom as yet, but they receive authority for 1 hour as kings with the beast. These are of one mind, and they will give their power and authority to the beast. Now, all this must involve the Middle East, and will probably include Europe. Don't let anyone dupe you saying it's Obama or some other nonsense. The 5 major empires, according to Nebuchadnezzar's dream that God gave him, all involve the Middle East. Anyways, the possibility of war is arising as tensions build up. And the second horseman was granted power to take peace from the earth. So any peace we may have now will be taken away. When the second seal is open, you may see people wanting to go to war over border issues and over resources. Now, I also read this in the news recently. Yes, there are more infectious diseases popping up these days. Experts say there are 7 clear reasons why. I don't really care what these experts say, but you probably heard of monkeypox and polio spreading and other diseases lately. These could be the precursor of the 4th seal. Revelation 6:7. When he opened the 4th seal, I heard the voice of the 4th living creature saying, "Come and see." So I looked, and behold, a pale horse, and the name of him who sat on it was Death, and Hades followed with him. I really don't want to see what death will bring. The COVID pandemic was bad enough. But the 4 horsemen kill 1/4 of the earth. I believe it's to bring rest to God's Spirit, as it did during Zechariah's time, when God sent out 4 chariots with different colored horses. During Noah's time, the sin of the world was too great, so God had to flood the earth. These 4 horsemen may be sent out to curb the sins of the world and bring God's Spirit a bit of rest. And remember, these 4 horsemen are sent out with the rider on the white horse. So the purpose is to restore the earth and conquer for Jesus. There has to be a period of peace once all the death is over. At least I hope there will be. The rider on the white horse is the end-time Elijah. If the end-time Elijah is a sign of the coming Messiah, then there should be a period of peace, because after the Great Tribulation, Jesus comes back to rule during the millennial reign, and it will be a period of peace. The Elijah forerunner is a sign of the Messiah. His life will parallel Jesus's in a similar way. If you want to know what Jesus will do, you look at the forerunner. The same is true with John the Baptist. John had a miraculous birth. He was hated by the religious leaders, and ultimately he was executed. You want to know what's going to happen to Jesus? Look at John the Baptist. You want to know what Jesus will do when he returns the second time? Look to the Elijah forerunner. Now, the Feast of Tabernacles officially ends with the 8th day of assembly on the 22nd day of the 7th month on the Jewish calendar. I don't know why God chose for it to end on the 22nd day, but I'm hoping 22 might mean something because it is 2022 this year. If Jesus opens the first seal on the 8th day of assembly during the Feast of Tabernacles, the great day of the feast, then that fulfills the Feast of Tabernacles. Feast of Tabernacles lasts for 7 days because there were 7 church ages. Then there is an 8th day because that represents the closing of the church with his end time Elijah. Shemini Atzeret, 8th day of assembly, is its own separate special festival. Yet it is connected to the 7 days of the Feast of Tabernacles. We'll see if the number 22 means something to God. I'm sure it does, because all numbers seem to have significance with God. There's a theme around certain numbers. Some are very clear, some are not so clear. But he chose Shemini Atzeret to be on the 22nd day of the 7th month, the month of Tishri. This October 17, 2022, is Shemini Atzeret. It concludes the Feast of Tabernacles. Now, the church, as many of you know, is mostly in a terrible mess. It resembles the Laodicean church in the book of Revelation. Revelation 3:15. I know your works, that you are neither cold nor hot. I could wish you were cold or hot. So then, because you are lukewarm and neither cold nor hot, I will vomit you out of my mouth. Because you say, I am rich, have become wealthy, and have need of nothing, and do not know that you are wretched, miserable, poor, blind, and naked. If you have attended a megachurch, you know what this verse is talking about. They have very large, nice churches, and there's nothing wrong with that. They have nice bookstores and cafes, and there's nothing wrong with that. But here's the problem. When you attend these churches for a while, you notice it's just a big social group. It's churchianity at its finest. Fun games for the little ones, fun youth groups for the teenagers, and activities for the whole family. The whole organization is a big machine. The cogs turn and more people come because it's fun. They invoke the name of Jesus, but the whole thing is lukewarm Christianity. The sad part is it must make Jesus sick because he says he will vomit them out of his mouth. When Jesus opens the first seal and the rider on the white horse goes out, he must find the bride that will be beautiful in the eyes of Christ. The bride that is ready for the Lord and truly loves the Lord. Not a people that love churchianity. A lot of the churchianity crowd are no different from non-believers. Only difference is they go to church on Sunday. Beloved, let us love Jesus from deep within the heart. Don't lose your first love for him. Grow in the knowledge of the Lord and his love for you. The Lord bless thee and keep thee. The Lord make his face to shine upon thee and be gracious unto thee, and be gracious unto thee. The Lord lift up his countenance upon thee and give thee peace. God bless you guys. Bye-bye.